Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast.
Insert spooky sounds.
Ooh, spooky sounds. Always fun. All right. I'm Nicholas. I'm joined by, in desperate need of a break because he had a really good idea, but turned out to be crazy Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
And
What's up?
Overly excited Justin, who is thinking highly of a 6-1 Packer or 5-1, however, 5-1 Packer team.
Yeah. Stressful, but good.
Was it stressful? I only watched the second half. It seemed pretty in control.
Yeah.
The first quarter.
Okay, yeah. I turned it on with like 2 minutes to go in the first half and then watched the second half. So it seemed like it was pretty under control from there.
Yeah.
We still own you.
Yeah, I'm not a Bears fan. What are you talking about?
That's just the royal you
Oh,
in general.
Okay.
I'm just quoting a great man.
That is true. That was funny when he screamed that at the fans. All right. So couple of quick notes before we get to the wooden stake at the heart.
I was going to say the meat of the episode.
The wooden stake at the heart of the episode.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3, little casting news. Will Poulter has been cast as Adam Warlock.
Who's that?
Will Poulter is the kid from We Are the Millers.
Oh.
And a whole bunch of other stuff. He's a pretty talented actor. I've enjoyed him in a lot of stuff. They've been teasing Adam Warlock since the first movie. And, so it's not surprising that he's finally showing up in the third one. It's one of those Marvel characters that I'm not overly familiar with, but I know that everybody seems to be pretty excited about it. So, I thought I'd bring it up.
Right on.
Did you guys, I didn't send links, but I did bring up the Batman trailer.
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah. That
looks
pretty good. Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited about that one. It's still really hard to tell that that's Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Like if they didn't tell me, I wouldn't know.
I didn't know that. That's nuts.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know about the Catwoman just because I didn't necessarily like immediately jump at the I have no problem with the actress, but the portrayal seemed a bit off. But we'll see more in the car. In the wow, I'm just where I'm okay. I wanted to also talk about the Batmobile. What do you guys think about the Batmobile?
It's very modern looking.
Did you say that?
It definitely looks like they took just like a classic muscle car and like, oh, this is the Batmobile now.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that, but
yeah.
We'll see. Other than that, the rest of the trailer seemed pretty solid.
Yeah.
I can definitely see where some of the elements are coming in. Looks like they have a little bit of not year one, but the one where Batman is old and retired and is fighting an old retired Superman. But this is clearly not an old retired Batman. The one that Frank Miller wrote.
Returns?
Or Beyond?
No, Dark Knight Returns.
Oh.
I think so. I don't know. We'll worry about that later. Did you guys watch the Flash teaser?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was
you sent us stuff. We watched it. Even if you didn't send us the links, we still looked it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was
Gold
in the middle.
stars all around.
All right.
It was a
Um,
weird introduction by Ezra Miller.
Yeah, didn't care for the introduction of it.
Yeah, that threw me off, like to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this movie. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what are you wearing?
yeah, what was with the choker? Like, that was bizarre.
Yeah, that was
Um,
strange.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious to see how or what they're going to do with Batman 89, if they're just going to use it for the one movie and move on from there, or if they really are going to start rolling all of that stuff in. Um, they've jumped in on the multiverse the same way that apparently Spider-Man has jumped in on the multiverse.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
why not? If Marvel's doing it, DC's like, we should do that too.
So it does make me wonder what they're going to do if it's successful later on down the road. Who else they're going to try to bring in?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Adam West has passed, but some of the other cast members of 66 are still around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
And then there's other versions of Batman hanging out there. I mean, the Flash TV show brought Kevin Conroy in to play a live action Batman when he had only done animated up to that point, to the best of my knowledge.
That's cool.
Plus
he only did the animated
there's
stuff until that.
Plus there's all of the TV show stuff that they have previously ignored. So, it does make me wonder what they will, come up with and bring in later. And then the Black Adam teaser as well.
Mm-hmm.
Looked pretty solid.
They should just let The Rock do all the intros for all the trailers from now on, because he did much better.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't get much smoother than The Rock, really.
That's true.
I mean, it's not fair that he exists as a human when the rest of us.
That's true. It really isn't.
I mean, it's like if you were in the room with The Rock, like, you knew you just don't stand a chance. Like, it's just all right. Well, whatever he wants to do, I've lost.
Yeah, definitely.
But he seems like a really cool guy. He's welcome on this podcast at any time.
Oh, for sure.
So anyway, there's that. So those are some fun trailers, and it looks like we're going to be getting some of that stuff pretty soon, actually. So,
did you see the Arkham Knights trailer?
No, I saw that it was out, but I forgot to watch it. I started watching Sleepaway Camp because heaven forbid I watch something new. I'm watching a movie. I've got 9 minutes left of it, so I've not gotten to the big secret reveal that's been ruined for a long time. Okay, so there. In Robin Williams news, because I love to shock Jeremy with Robin Williams news.
That's true.
They said that he was desperately campaigning for the role of Remus Lupin in the Harry Potter series.
Who's that?
He's the dark arts professor who becomes Justin, did you watch the Harry Potter stuff? Or okay, I'm alone on this island.
I've watched everything except for the last two. But
okay, well, he's definitely.
I don't remember the character names.
He is definitely introduced in like this third or fourth movie. Like, so you've seen him. He's kind of like, he's not his uncle, because that's the Gary Oldman role.
Yeah,
but he's like Gary Oldman's like best friend. I think he's the guy who marries Tonks, Lupin.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
I see this guy before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently the Harry Potter people had a strictly no American actor policy.
Oh.
So
no Robin Williams allowed.
So even though, just could you think about like what Robin Williams would have done in the Harry Potter universe? That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
So that is really a dumb policy that they had. I think especially since like they immediately, after they did the first 8 or 9, however many movies, and then they jumped into the prequel movies, they were like, let's hire Americans.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the prequel stuff, that Fantastic Beasts or whatever it is.
Yeah, I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one.
That stuff I haven't seen yet.
The director of the first Harry Potter movie was from America, so very strange choice.
Was it Chris Columbus?
Yeah, Chris Columbus.
You can direct, you just can't act on this.
We have a strictly British only policy for on-screen talent. So one of the greatest actors of all time, no, we don't allow him on this movie. We're gonna hire this other guy.
Damn you, Brits. We were robbed.
All right. Now, this next story is the last one that we have before we get into the matter at hand. I think this was an all-time terrible idea, but I have a feeling one or both of you are going to be on board with the idea. So James Gunn and Charlie Kaufman. Charlie Kaufman, the writer of Being John Malkovich and Adaptation and a couple other things, apparently back in the late 90s, pitched a reboot of Gilligan's Island.
All right.
Okay. Which at first I was like, okay, I'm on board with it. Except for the reboot was going to be a horror movie and involve cannibalism.
Interesting.
Wow.
For me, I mean, like, okay, I would love to see a reboot of Gilligan's Island. I think that could be great. I think it would be hilarious. But the horror aspect and involving, I don't want to see Gilligan eating Skipper.
Right.
But you want to see Gilligan eating ginger?
In a different way than cannibalism? Yes.
I'm sure there's a porn parody out there somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure there's a not Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Where they have a very different ginger eating Mary Ann scene.
I'm surprised that they would have chosen that property if they're going to make it so dark. Like, why not just go with anything else then? That's right. More toward that.
I don't know, but Sherwood Schwartz, who created Gilligan's Island and Brady Bunch and a bunch of other stuff, like a bunch of those like late 60s, early 70s or mid 70s shows, was still alive. In fact, he just died in the last like 2 or 3 years. He got to be pretty close to 100 by the time he died.
Wow.
When they came to him with the idea, they were like, he was like, absolutely not. Like,
fuck off.
Yeah. I guess that Brady Bunch remake sequel movie, whatever it was that Gary Cole was in, and a bunch of, he ultimately apparently didn't really like that because it was too jokey. Which, I mean, Brady Bunch was a comedy, but I guess it was making fun of itself too much, not just being a sitcom kind of thing. But, whatever. I mean, I think there's a way you could do the Gilligan's Island reboot without doing Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I saw that and I was like, I'm against it, but I could definitely see one or both of you going, bring on the cannibalism.
I'd probably be out.
I mean, it's a great. I would watch it just because it's those two guys involved. But I mean, mostly the first guy. But
all right, okay. So
I would like us for next week, since you brought that up, to come up with who we'd put in a Gilligan's Island reboot.
Oh,
don't do it right now. Take a week, try to come up with your cast. And we'll get our own reboot for Gilligan's Island.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to write this down so I don't forget. Gilligan's
Island reboot cast.
Island. And we're sticking with like actors that are alive right now, right?
Yes. You can't do like, I don't know. John Candy can't be in it.
Okay. All right. So, there goes my perfect Skipper. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. So we're current current alive actors that are working.
Like if they were
Okay.
just to start it next year or so.
Okay.
Got it. All right.
I'm locking it
Um,
in.
Locking it in. I've written it down. I am going to work on it over the course of the
Of,
week.
of the week.
All right. Wow, look at that. Justin's the one giving us homework.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Man, I'm gonna have to get on that. I'm gonna have to get on that other podcast I did and like give a whole like new speech and apologize profusely.
He's not contributing. Oh, I'll show you not contributing. I do more research for this podcast the last 3 weeks than I think I did in school.
I apparently this is what I should have done 6 years ago. Go on a different podcast and make fun of him.
I guess so. Yeah.
It's that competitive nature. Oh, I'll show you.
Okay, so vampires.
Yeah.
The undead, which we did kind of debate on the zombie issue of
Frankenstein's
zombies or not?
monster. And
Frank. Yeah, are they zombies or not? I think we determined that they are not just because,
Yeah.
but
yeah, for the sake of this episode, they are not.
they are not. Okay. I honestly had a hard time coming up with my top three.
Same.
Mainly because I couldn't really. Apparently, we have a member of the Vampire Club joining us.
I just really wanted to get into the spirit of things here.
He has put on a vampire cloak.
Yeah.
So, I was able to easily put two down on my top three, and I have a couple honorable mentions, which means I should probably just move one of them up to number three. I honestly almost put. I'm contemplating while we're talking about it, finishing off the top three, with something that would be. I don't know if it would be a controversial move simply because we get to kind of make our own rules, but
Yeah.
That's best part of this podcast.
We go loose and fast. Play by our own
Loose and-
rules.
loose and fast. Okay.
This is
Then
no
I'll-
huddle offense.
No, then I'm gonna do my own thing then. How do we want to start? Do we want to start with the history of vampires?
Yeah.
We always
okay.
start with a little brief history.
All right, brief history. The modern vampire was created in 1819 by a novel by John Polidori, wrote called The Vampire. Right back when they used to spell vampire with a Y instead of IRE, they spelled it YRE.
They
Yeah.
didn't have time for those extra letters.
yeah. So it was actually written at around the exact same time as Frankenstein was written by Mary Shelley. There was an event in a couple of years before that where they called it like the year without summer, because like globally, like the whole planet was like really rainy and abnormally cold, and so like there was almost zero summer. But this John Polidori, Mary Shelley, Lord Byron, Mary Shelley's husband, and a couple other people were at this cabin, and they were just trading stories back and forth to each other. And since most of them were authors or author wannabes, they challenged each other to write like the scariest story.
Oh, cool.
So we got the modern vampire and Frankenstein and his monster, like out of the exact same challenge.
That's awesome.
So, so that 1819 vampire novel was what essentially directly led to Dracula in 1897 with
Bram Stoker.
When he wrote that book. But I mean, clearly, if you're writing books about vampires in 1819, vampirism existed beforehand. It's believed to really have come from a lack of understanding of how the body breaks down after death, of that decomposition, because people are like, oh, well, your hair and your fingernails continue to grow after death. No, they don't. Your body shrinks. So when there used to be a really like death fear of being buried alive. I mean, I guess there still is, but because of the lack of medical understanding back then, it happened more often.
Yeah.
That it's no secret that that's where the phrase "saved by the bell" actually came from,
Hmm.
because there was so many, like they would actually put like a long tube with a bell at the top, so if you woke up, you could like ring it and people could come. And but like they also didn't necessarily understand death as well as we do now. So like whenever like crazy things would happen, or one of the other things that would would cause vampire scares would be mysterious illnesses, where all of a sudden like an entire town got ravaged by, what we now understand as, either preventable or treatable diseases. They would be like, oh my god, and so they'd go dig up whoever the first person that died was, and they would like dig them up, and their hair would be longer, their nails would be longer, their body wouldn't be as decomposed as how they thought it should be. Some bodies, especially depending on why they died, would actually put blood out of their mouth. Would because we embalm people now, or take all that stuff out, so that doesn't happen. But back then, you pretty much just got thrown in a pine box and then thrown on the ground.
Yeah.
you know so because bodies decompose in different ways depending on soil and time of the year. People wouldn't necessarily see what they thought they were going to see, so they dig up a body and be like, oh my god, vampire. So there'd be legends told and stories told. Then you had people like Elizabeth Bathory, um, who lived from 1560 to 1614, who was some sort of royalty, and is believed to killed up to maybe 650 people.
Oh my God.
There's a smaller number. There's some people who say that she didn't kill anybody. There's some people who were like, but basically she is the story that we tell about, Bloody Mary, we talk about I don't know why Elizabeth Bathory is at some point become Bloody Mary. That part I don't, but the stories about her was that she would go and kidnap or kill, or have her people kill young women, young virgins, to bathe in their blood so that she could stay young. That's the version of the story that's come. So she is very much an integral part of telling the vampire story. Also, where we get Dracula from, Vlad the Impaler, or Vlad Dracul, who was born somewhere between 1428, 1431, and then died either in 1476 or 77. It's really hard to know when back then they didn't necessarily keep 100% accurate records.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was well known for his just horrendous cruelty and his destruction of just people in general, and the way he would kill people. So that would also lead to creating the vampire myth.
Was he trying to conquer territory, or was he just a sadistic dude?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, people like that, you wonder if they were alive today, what they would be doing. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean, he's obviously just innately evil, kind of like Hitler was just innately evil. Like, there's just, if they were born today, what would they end up doing, or how would society control them better, because we have a better understanding of mental illness and what to do or how to treat people.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, back in the 1400s, it allowed, and obviously also 600 something years ago, we don't have 100% accurate records. We have a lot of written language and a lot of written tomes, but how accurate is a lot of it? Because we're about to get into the film section, film study section of vampires. And we're going to see from early 1900s how hard it is just to keep up with that. And that was just over 100 years ago.
Right.
Okay. So the first known vampire movie, at least what we believe to be the first known vampire movie, was an 1896 movie called House of the Devil. It's a French short film. Though the argument is that that's not necessarily a vampire film, it's more of a devil film, because people argue, though, because the main villain of the movie turns into a bat, and that's one of the things that we always talk about with vampires. It's also potentially the first horror film ever made. It's a you can find it on YouTube. It's just a like 4 or 5 minute short silent film, obviously. House of the Devil. But the definitely the first official like known surviving vampire movie is a movie from 1915 called The Vampire.
Original.
Yeah,
I wonder what that's about.
it's also a short film. It's the earliest known surviving vampire film. 1916, you get A Night of Horror, which is the first known full-length vampire movie. The vampire as a character has film had probably not existed much before 1896. And it did make me wonder when I saw that. I was like, well, when was the first horror film? And then they were like, well, there's your answer. It's the same.
That's interesting.
1920, we get our first Dracula movie. Dracula with a K. It's a Russian movie. However, there's no surviving prints. There's no surviving set footage, stock photography, nothing. So film historians, because they can't find anything about it, debate on whether or not it truly existed.
That's weird.
Because I think partially because record keeping. So the first one that most people are classified as the first official one is 1921, called Dracula's Death. Apparently there is that film is also completely lost. But there's more, but there's actual proof when it comes to set photography or references in newspapers about, hey, they're showing this movie. Flash forward to another year and you get F.W. Murnau's Nosferatu.
Oh yeah.
That is the one that kind of really kicked off the whole vampire craze. It was technically a Dracula movie, although it was not called that because they were trying to do it with copyright laws. There's some debate as to whether or not they were actually trying to defeat copyright laws or they were just stupid, because some copies have this is inspired by Bram Stoker's Dracula. Other copies have it pulled off. But what we do know is that in the courts, Bram Stoker's family, I think his widow, won. And theoretically, all prints of that movie were supposed to have been destroyed.
Wow.
But because that was made in Germany, but film industry very early on would make prints and then send them out. So there had already been a few prints that had been sent to America, and Americans were like, no, we're not going to destroy it. And so that's why we still have copies of it today.
Nice.
That sounds about right. No, we're not doing it.
And then you flash to 1931 and you have Bela Lugosi as Dracula.
Yeah.
The first time that he is the first Universal monster. I don't know if he was the first Universal monster, but that was the first appearance in the Universal pictures of Dracula. So really that classic Dracula image that we have, this is where we get it in 1931.
Cool.
So I'm expecting in 10 years there to be some huge Dracula things, some big 100-year anniversary of the Universal monsters. As a character, Dracula on film is second only to Sherlock Holmes in the amount of films that he's been used.
What? That's
Wow.
nuts.
Which made me think Sherlock Holmes has been used that often.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also wonder, like, it made me wonder, like, how many times somebody's used Dracula or a version of Dracula that haven't been counted. But I guess you could also make the same argument for the Sherlock Holmes character. So I don't. I kept coming across that stat in multiple articles. It wasn't just one, so I was like, okay, it must be at least close to being true.
Yeah. Did they have an actual number for either of those?
It was well over 200.
Holy crap.
Wow.
But I didn't get the actual number. I mean, and I think some of that might have been like TV stuff as well as, but I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to figure out when you're, only trying to research one thing and you keep coming across other things.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see what the top 10 list is for that. Like top 10 most used characters. I bet James Bond is up there. But then again, I don't know.
Well, I don't know, because I mean he's only at 25 official films.
Oh, that's true.
There's the
You said only
There's the-
25.
well,
But I mean, compared to the over 200, I guess it is kind of a small number.
But I mean, there's 25 official films, and then there's the 3 non-canon James Bond movies, and some stuff like that. But
yeah,
but I mean, he's up there. He's got more than some obvious other characters, but
Yeah.
I don't even know where
the
James.
top 50 probably at least.
Well, probably.
We'll put him in there.
But I don't know where James Bond stands next to, say, Godzilla.
Oh, sure, yeah. He's
So
yeah.
That's all of my vampire research. Before we get on to the next section, Justin seems to have done some vampire research himself, so let's hear some facts that he has to say.
You covered most of my stuff too, because I put about Bram Stoker, which his inspiration was Vlad the Impaler, that book came out in May 26th, 1897. You covered that. And then, the other stuff was with the bubonic plague, where they thought that's a lot where the vampires came from. Like you said, with the hair and the nails. So they used to actually, when they would bury people, they would like booby trap the graves. Like in the casket, they would put like either like a spike right above them. So if they did rise, they would get impaled, or they would do different kind of things like that. They've actually found that digging up like some of the really old graves, they've discovered that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, it really makes me wonder, like, if they were that afraid of it, why they didn't do more cremation or just burning. Like, I do understand there's definitely some religious connotations there and some things like that, but like, I mean, if you're that worried about it, like, why not just destroy the body rather than
Right.
bury it with booby traps?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's all I had. You covered most of it.
all right. Oh, I forgot about the rabies thing. Apparently, people who are inflicted with rabies get a lot of fairly similar symptoms to what people like, the over-sexualized, some various other things. It was kind of weird. Like, rabies showed up on the list of like possible, like, I guess, rabies used to be around a lot more than it is now.
Huh.
And it wasn't curable at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of strange, just to come across the various different ways that the vampire myth came about.
Mhm.
All right, so our favorite vampire related things. What's number one on your list?
I think you need to go first on this one.
Okay.
We've all started a list except for you.
All right. Are we gonna do all three at once, or are we gonna go right to just like go one and then around and then two and then around?
Mm, I don't know. Why don't we just do all of them at once?
Okay.
Yeah,
And then-
we have enough written down. We can change our list so we don't overlap anybody.
Oh, I doubt very serious. Well, maybe my first one. I'm gonna put Blade as my number one. And I see Justin is writing, so
He's on there. Like I said, I wrote down a
Um,
bunch.
and this is where you guys are gonna probably yell at me, and this is more of my current obsession. Number two is Nandor from What We Do in the Shadows. And number three is Laszlo from What We Do in the Shadows.
All right.
All right.
A bit of I mean, I don't know what you want to call that, a reach, but that's fair. I'll give it
It's
to
his
you.
It's his list. I've never seen the show. Like I said, I watched the first maybe episode and I was like, well, this is boring.
Oh,
And,
man,
and I never picked it back up.
the episode that came out this last week, man, it was hilarious. Nandor decides he doesn't want to be a vampire anymore. He's having a midlife crisis, which is hard because he's immortal. And he joins a vampire cult where they're all trying to not eat people. So it's pretty funny.
I'll have to check that show out. I saw the trailer. It looks really funny, but just haven't had a chance to look at it yet.
All right, so that's my top three.
All right.
Cool.
Jeremy, would you like to go?
Okay. My number one is that vampire from the Kit Kat commercial who goes, "I'm up, I'm up." He gets out of a coffin made out of Kit Kats, and his alarm is going off, and he's like, "I'm up." So
Oh, okay.
that one, and then let's see, I'll do the Count from Sesame Street.
Oh, he was on my honorable mention
Oh,
list.
all right.
Count Van Count. Yeah, he's right there.
Yep.
Taught me a lot about life, and I really have to thank him for that.
Ah, is that why you laugh when you count?
It is.
All right.
And the third one, I'm not thinking because I already have my list. So of course I'm going to say Count Chocula.
Also on my other
Okay.
list.
Sorry, Justin.
As I write down a lot because why not?
I do have a creative honorable mention that I'll save for later. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think those are some pretty good choices, especially with Sesame Street and your obsession with the spooky cereal and having Count Chocula on there.
Yeah, I felt like I had to really give it up to him this
Yeah.
year of all years, especially.
Yeah, I almost put Count Chocula down on my honorable mention list, but I was like, I know Jeremy will cover him.
All right. The first one I put was Vlad from the Hotel Transylvania series, which is Dracula's dad, which is voiced by Mel Brooks. For obvious reasons, because it's Mel Brooks, I put him on my top of my list.
And one of these days, I'll actually watch those movies.
It's a
Same.
good movie. Number two is Dracula, which is Leslie Nielsen's version of Dracula from Mel Brooks's Dracula Dead and Loving It.
That's a good one.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even think about that one.
I don't know if you see a theme here. And then the next one I put was Celine from Underworld, Kate Beckinsale.
Nice.
On my honorable mention list.
I put her on the list for reasons.
Reasons.
Right, reasons.
Might have to change the lighting for that one.
Reasons.
All right.
Okay.
Well, to round out the rest of my honorable mention list, did you guys, either of you, ever watch Preacher?
No.
Oh, okay. It's a pretty fucked up show that AMC was doing. There was a guy on the show called named Cassidy. He was a vampire. He was pretty cool. He almost made the top 3, but I couldn't quite put him there. And then basically just to round out the What We Do in the Shadows series, Nadia, to get the full all three of the main vampires from that show.
All right.
You could have just put them as one group like I did with the Sanderson sisters.
Could have.
Could have, but
But you're like, nope. All right, that's fair.
but where would the comedy be in that?
Yeah.
Well, I have one honorable mention from my list, and that is
All right.
the Dracula musical from Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'd say the rest of my list I've got Dracula from the Monsters in My Pocket video game. It was an old Nintendo game. You played as either Dracula or Frankenstein.
Okay.
Or Frankenstein's monster, which makes sense now that you said they came out in the same year.
Well, I think they were like a year
Sa-
apart, but they were born the same weekend.
Yeah. Well, that game, those two team up to fight other monsters. I put Dracula from Castlevania, the series of the Netflix series and the video games. I don't know if either of you have played them, Jeremy.
I have. Symphony of the Night is like one of the best games ever made.
I've played the original Castlevania on 8-bit, but like it was really hard to ever get into any 8-bit game, but you know.
I remember that one being very difficult. The
Yeah.
first one on Nintendo.
I seem to remember the same thing.
Yeah.
The Netflix series is really good too.
I'll have to watch that sometime. I've got a very long list of things that I need to watch.
I did put Vlad the Impaler on my honorable mentions. Morbius,
Mm.
I put him on there.
Yeah. I figure once the movie comes out, maybe I'll be able to reestablish him somewhere.
And then I put Sylvia and Dracula from the Scooby-Doo movies, The Ghoul School and The Reluctant Werewolf,
Hmm.
because those were childhood cartoons that I watched every October. And the last one on my list is Vampire Bats.
Vampire bats
Yes,
in general.
Vampire Bats. I
All
don't know.
right.
I've always liked bats. Like I want to put a bat house in my yard. You know, they're good for the environment. They eat mosquitoes and spiders, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I want to put a couple bat houses out at my house too.
And then the
The
little
mosquitoes weren't
Go
the
on.
mosquitoes weren't bad this year, but man, normally.
Then the one little thing I put about vampire bats is in 1 year, a 100 bat colony can drink the blood of 25 cows
Oh my god, that's crazy.
in 1 year.
Ah,
I had a bat in my house once. It was pretty terrifying.
I've,
We had to use a fishing net to get it out back into the world.
I've caught a bat in Walmart
Nice.
years and years ago. I've caught one at the church where I used to play basketball. So I don't know. I've always just really liked bats.
That's
oh,
cool.
all right.
Maybe I think if I get bit by one, I'll turn into Batman or Man Bat.
As I say, I don't know if that's how Batman became Batman.
Man Bat?
I mean, a little bit closer to how Man Bat became Man Bat.
I thought about putting Man Bat on the list, but I'm like, he's not really a vampire.
No, he's just a guy who became a bat.
Yeah. He's more of a crypto.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. So if we ever do a crypto,
That'd be fun.
a cryptids episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be a good one. What about fuck it, I already forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind.
I did write down a list of movies / TV shows that are involved with vampires.
Okay.
That I enjoy. You have the Blade series,
Mhm.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Hmm.
The first one, I've never really seen any of the other ones or the series, but that first movie is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Jeremy, you look confused.
Oh, I've seen the first one.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I've seen most of it.
And because I can't go apparently 30 seconds without bringing up What We Do in the Shadows, uh, I'm going to put the show and the movie that spawned the show on the list. Lost Boys,
Of course. How could I
um,
forget that?
Van Helsing, the Hugh Jackman version. See, we did a whole thing where we never even talked about the whole Van Helsing myth,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
you know, um,
Van
Buffy the
Helsing,
Vampire.
I'd say Van Helsing is played by Mel Brooks in the Dracula Dead Loving It movie.
I went and saw that in the theaters, but I don't remember it very well. I do remember thinking it was funny, but then I put Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, not the show. I never really got into the show because I just didn't watch it. Maybe one of these days I'll get around to watching it, but for the most part, I have seen that movie a lot. It's good. I recommend it.
Okay.
If you've never seen it, like it's funny. I think was it Christy Swanson was Buffy, and there was Paul Rubens plays a great vampire.
Hmm.
It's I mean there's
Sweet.
just a lot of humor. There's a movie called Shadow of the Vampire with John Malkovich and Willem Dafoe,
Hmm.
where it's a retelling of Nosferatu, but they're pretend like it's set in a world where the actor who played Nosferatu was actually a vampire,
Ah, nice.
and and he was so like they were filming a movie about Nosferatu while they were actually dealing with a real vampire problem.
That's awesome.
It was pretty funny. The whole Underworld series. I mean, since you brought up Celine, and then there's this Russian movie called Night Watch. It's just an insane amalgamation that deals with more than just vampires, but it's set in a world where like you get recruited into the Night Watch, and it's like you all of a sudden have to fight like the supernatural.
Hmm.
Like you're now a cop. Like that movie R.I.P.D. with
Yeah.
I feel like R.I.P.D. ripped off a lot of elements from that. Because it's kind of a similar concept, but it came out like a good decade or more before R.I.P.D. did. Daywatch is not as good. I feel like it kind of got away completely from what Night Watch was. But if you can watch a movie with subtitles or find a dubbed version, highly recommend Night Watch.
Justin's out.
Yeah, I don't watch movies to read.
You're missing out on some good movies. Oh,
Dog agrees.
okay.
Yeah.
Is that our?
I don't
Is
know
that
what
her,
I don't know what she's
ref-
doing.
Is that our wrap it up signal or?
No, it's not our signal to wrap it up. Did either of you two, not anything related to vampires, did you check out the Chucky
Fuck
series
yes. Yep. That was awesome.
Nicholas? Not yet?
I have not. I'm only like I've watched the first 3 Chuckies and the remakes. So like I'm pretty far behind on the whole Chucky mythos. So I was like, I can't watch the series yet. I'm a couple movies behind.
Yeah.
All right.
They do touch on like some of the history a little bit, but they
Yeah.
really
So-
focus more on the present.
But it is like a straight up sequel series, right? It's not like
Yes.
I mean obviously it's completely ignoring the reboot.
They're ignoring that, but
As you should with most reboots.
that was fucking. I didn't like that very much at all. The reboot.
The reboot?
Yeah.
It was a little lame. I think it really got away from what made the Chucky movie, fun.
Yeah. And it's just really hard to buy that Aubrey Plaza was an old mother.
Yeah. Yeah,
Other
that was a little hard to buy.
Yeah. But I did like that first episode. I thought it was really cleverly done, and I like the whole coming of age concept that they're going with it.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
I also thought it was cool. They at a certain point they look up the good guy dolls online to see what they're selling for, and like they're all
On
good.
eBay?
Yeah, it was kind of cool how they sprinkled that in.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that the 50 States of Horror is on Roku now?
Oh, it finally is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, I do know that all of the nonsense that was on what was that stupid platform called?
Quibi.
Oh, Quibi. That's
Yeah,
right, Quibi.
yeah.
I know that Roku bought all the Quibi stuff and they just rebranded it as Roku Originals, and they're
Mm.
slowly putting it on there.
Yeah.
Some of it is being found and like they're like, wow, that's actually pretty good, and like I think it's being like brought back, but most of it's just like, yep, here it is. This is what we spent all that money on.
I'm kind of interested in checking out that States one, but I don't know.
I'm still waiting on my Quibi gift card.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, once
and-
your shirt.
And my shirt that I could, well, I still can't wear, but
How long ago was that?
oh, I don't know. It's probably got to be a year by now.
You need
I
to
assume
send
that
a strongly
I assume
worded
I'll
email.
I assume that I'll never actually receive anything for that prize.
It's a damn shame.
Yeah.
Finally win something, and the thing is like, rather than give him it, we're just gonna shut down.
Oh, not this guy.
So I mean, this is day 18. You're now listening to this on day 18. We so far haven't missed a day.
Yeah.
We're doing pretty good. I mean, I'm proud of you for
Oh.
accomplishing what it is, but we've obviously helped.
Absolutely. Yeah. We should all pat ourselves on the back.
So we're over halfway there. We're definitely in the home stretch.
Yeah. It's
So-
really coming together. It'll be nice
Wow.
to breathe a sigh of relief once it's over, but I'm trying to enjoy the process too. I've got a really cool thing coming out next weekend for the next Media Pod Smash that I think everyone's going to really like. Something
Okay.
that I've never done before for Media Pod Smash. So that's all I'll say. It has to do with this cloak. Actually, this
Oh.
cloak is a tease.
Ooh. um, just because they keep running our ad, so like I feel like we got to give them a shout out. The 80s Flick Flashback podcast
Uh-huh.
has run our ad in every episode since we sent it to them,
Oh, awesome.
which is pretty nice of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
He seems to like he tends to like all of our posts now as well, at least when I put it on my main page,
Oh.
like on myself. But he just did a Halloween part 2, not Halloween part 2. I'm sorry, I've got Halloween on the brain. Friday the 13th part 2.
Oh, sweet.
So it's a competing opinion of vamping about Voorhees.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to hear like a different perspective of the movie.
Yeah.
They basically had the same opinion. It was fun and enjoyable. They both seemed to like it a lot more than they did the first one, but I don't know. They're not necessarily gonna. I don't know what they're, because they did the first 2 Friday the 13th movies. Now you got to go back to older episodes to find the first one. So like he's in no rush to work through the whole series, but he's also not going to get to the whole series because some of them exist in the 90s.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't know when my episode is coming up when we do Lethal Weapon, but I thought he said sometime in November. So
Okay. Cool.
So
I'll have
maybe
to go listen to that Friday 13th episode.
Yeah, so that is, well, let me see if I can get the exact name of the podcast so that I don't. It's
Stand by.
It is 80s flick flashback, but there's I think it's like movie news or movie views. But if you just type 80s flick flashback into your search bar,
Okay.
it'll come up. It's their most Halloween, not Halloween. Jeez, that's the second time I've done it. Friday the 13th part 2 is their most recent episode. So, and that reminds me of, on just a personal note, Last Podcast on the Left is leaving their exclusive deal with Spotify.
Oh.
So in February, I can finally delete that stupid fucking app.
It's awful for podcasts. It's so bad.
It is so awful.
But follow
And
us on
so-
Spotify. Yeah, but
Well, we're never, apparently Last Podcast on the Left is the second major podcaster who had signed an exclusive deal with Spotify to try to get out of their deal early or just straight up leave it. So I don't know if the fans are just like, guys, like this app is so bad, you got to get out. But you're still going to be able to listen to their stuff off Spotify, but they're not going to be Spotify exclusive anymore.
Right.
So on February, let's see, they said they're leaving the deal on February 1st. So on February 2nd, I will re-download Podcast Addict and start listening to that using that app again, because Spotify is awful.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Also, we're not sponsored by Spotify, and I'm sure that we never will be now that I've said all of that.
Oh well. We got so many other sponsors lined up. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, we have emails we haven't even read yet.
Yeah.
Oh man. Actually, I haven't bothered to check our email address in a while, so I do wonder.
There was this
All right,
Nigerian prince who mentioned
Oh,
something
man, I
about
missed
a
that.
routing number. Yeah.
Oh,
you should give him that.
Sign me up.
You should give him that.
I will.
We can use the money we
Seriously
get from
looking-
him to build a studio.
We
Yeah.
could. All right. Well, I know you guys are off to do some Halloween related activities. So is there any last remaining?
Well, I have a hero.
Oh, okay.
It's a hero of the month, and I'm gonna say,
Ooh.
yeah, because I really am excited about this one. General Mills. I gotta say they're my hero because not only did they come out with some awesome cereals this year, but now they're doing something a little interesting. So they're doing prizes in their boxes of General Mills cereals, and it's like blind boxes. Like 1 out of 50 gets a special edition cereal mascot figure, which is like, it looks kind of like a pop, like a little mini pop, but it's the
Okay.
it's either Count Chocula, Boo Berry, or something
Which-
else, right?
Which one is who's pink?
Frankenberry is pink
Okay.
yeah.
and
Okay.
Boo Berry is blue.
Those are the ones out of 50. And then they're also doing the Trix Rabbit,
Silly rabbit tricks
Cheer-
for kids.
Cheerios B, cinnamon toast crunch,
And these things are fucking awesome.
The-
Like they are,
the leprechaun from Lucky Charms.
yeah.
I see that when I'm stocking in that aisle because I'm
So
like,
those
I
are the 1
want
out of
these.
50. So the cereal mascots are the 1 out of 50, or
Right.
So the 1 out of 50 is the rarer ones are like Frankenberry, Count Chocula,
oh, okay.
and
Right.
Blueberry.
And the dressed up mascots are like the common packed ones.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So who did you get? Because it's hard to see really.
This is
Cinnamon Toast Crunch Pumpkin.
yeah, cinnamon toast crunch pumpkin.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. So are you just going and buying just ridiculous amounts of cereal to freak out that lady again?
I think I'm gonna have to. I didn't know about this at all until today. I'm like, damn, like I thought my addiction to buying shit was over, but nope. I want one of those cereal monsters.
That's how I feel when I'm in that aisle. I'm like, oh, I want
When
these.
like when you pick up the boxes to stock, do any of them feel heavier? Like, are you checking them like for?
No, I'm usually working in the cold aisles.
Oh, you should
So
just, you
I
know,
just,
as
I go
you're
down there and zone them.
as you're zoning, just pick them up and go. Oh, this one feels a little heavier. I will buy this one.
Oh, this one's damaged.
Oh, this one's Oh man, every box of General Mills cereal was damaged this week.
Ah,
What are the odds of
oops.
that?
The glue didn't stick.
The coolest part too is if you buy all the boxes that are specially marked, you can put them together and it makes Dracula's castle.
Nice.
I
Just to
mean,
tie it into Dracula even more.
I feel like you could make about anything you want if you buy that many cereal boxes. I mean, just glue 'em. I mean, hire your sister and she's crafty.
Well, that's true, but I mean, it's specially printed Dracula's castle.
Oh,
Yeah. But I'm sure she could make a kick-ass looking castle out of enough cereal boxes.
Agreed.
So that'll be my second option if I don't get enough of the real specially marked boxes.
Which one did you buy so far?
Just Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
That one I
So
haven't
to say-
seen. I've seen Cheerios, and I want to say the one with the rabbit.
Tricks.
Yeah, I think I've seen those two at work.
I wish I would have like seen this sooner because I mean I would have been all about this at the beginning of the year, but
I don't know
wow.
what it was like for you guys when you were kids, but I had my parents, they would when they take us grocery shopping, of course my sister and I, and this was back in the 80s when the heyday of the toys and cereal boxes were we would, basically we would both be sold on whatever cereal we wanted based off of who had the coolest toy. Or
Yeah.
like who, and so like every time, okay, now this is your cereal for the week or 2 weeks, however long. You are not allowed to have any other cereal until you eat all of the cereal from this box. So you better not be buying it just for the toy. Oh no, we're not. Oh no, we were.
Yeah, of course.
That's funny.
And then you'd be stuck eating bad cereal because that one had the cool pack of baseball cards in it, or the submarine, if you put baking soda in, would sink and then float back up, or the wacky wall crawler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Or whatever other 80s cheesiness was in that box.
Decoder rings and
Well, there's a reason why at some point in either the late 80s or early 90s they stopped putting toys in cereal boxes, and it became like send away stuff because parents were like, please stop doing it.
No more. You're torturing us.
We are buying so much cereal these kids won't eat. Like,
that's funny. And now they're reviving it, and now I'm an adult buying a bunch of cereal that I'm not going to eat.
yeah, I might have to start picking up some boxes. They always give me mysteries.
well, unfortunately, and we haven't talked about it in a while, and I had meant to make it a somewhat regular segment, but I guess here at the closing, since I can't really eat cereal or that kind of stuff anymore, because of the whole diabetes thing, like I can't join in and buy the cereal. I mean, I guess I could buy the cereal just to like get the toys, but then at least you two have a chance that you might eat the cereal. But I went to the doctor this week.
Mhm.
Finally, I got a sleep study coming up on Wednesday. But I got weighed again for the first time in a couple weeks, I'll be going back to the doctor for my 3-month checkup since I've been diagnosed.
Uh-huh.
I have lost approximately 20 to 25 pounds.
Wow, awesome.
So,
Wow.
hopefully pretty soon here, I'll be back under 400.
Right on.
So like, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed our cookie video, but seeing myself on camera was quite horrifying to know that I had really let myself go that badly. So hopefully next year when we do it, I'll be, you know,
They'll be like, who is that guy? Who's the new member of the team?
so
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man.
yeah, but basically almost purely through diet and I guess probably the medicine, I've lost, 20, 25 pounds. So I'm getting to the point where I'm retraining my brain, and I need to start, like I'm doing a lot more. Like instead of just sitting around doing nothing, I'll go down in the basement and do stuff, or go walk around Menards for a little bit, or do
Yeah.
projects around the house. So
Nice.
making smarter choices when it comes to food.
Right on.
So
Sweet.
so I guess that's probably getting to the end of our time, because you guys have got to get going.
Yep.
I suppose so.
What the
I'm,
I
get-
don't
I'm
even
having.
know what you're doing.
Oxygen boost.
Ah.
Sometimes you just need a little pick me up.
Okay, I didn't even know that was a thing.
I got this
It
of
seems like-
a magazine that comes in the mail from my dad.
I
AARP.
don't even begin. I
Might
don't
as
even
well be.
begin to I don't even begin to understand what that's doing for you, but all right, whatever.
Yeah, I'm fucking jacked now. I can do another 3 hours.
That kind of reminds me of Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Mel Brooks.
Gotta wrap it up with a Mel Brooks reference.
So
Love that guy.
as you walk around this planet, on the lookout for any creature of the night, be it an undead shuffling zombie, or evil cackling witch trying to curse you, or maybe a suave, debonair, undead vampire turning into a bat or turning back from a bat. Just remember that stupid never walks alone.
Yeah.